this morning because we have a special person here in the studio. I've known this wonderful lady for 10 years. In fact, as long as I can remember, she's been helping seniors all that time. I remember my wife, when she first started right at home, this nice lady was one of her very first referrals. So thanks for that, Anne Marie. With all that being said, I'd like to introduce Marie Davidson. Anne Marie is the Director of Sales and Marketing for Autumn Leaves of St. Charles. Anne Marie, I really want our audience to get to know you like I do. So can you tell our listeners all about you and what you did before and how it led to what you're doing now?
Thank you, Jim, and thank you for having me here today. I'm excited to be in a position to talk about what we do on a daily basis for our seniors, and I'm certainly thrilled to be able to talk to the services that are offered to these seniors, certainly in the arena of memory care. Autumn Leaves is a leader, a trailblazer in the field of memory care. We offer a number of communities in the Chicagoland area that are purpose-built for people with cognitive impairment. And, it's a passion for us. It's something that we do every day. And thank you for this opportunity to put it out there as to what we do.
It's wonderful to have you here. And as you mentioned, Autumn Leaves is one of the trailblazers in memory care. We look around today, there's a lot of Autumn Leaves around, a lot of communities now. And they were trailblazing and helping our senior community for a long time. Can you please give a little bit of background history of Autumn Leaves?
So Autumn Leaves is in our market here in the Chicagoland area. We have 10 communities. In the Midwest, we have 13, and we're family owned and family operated. We have a total of about a little more than 50 communities in the Southwest, Southeast, and Midwest. We have purpose-built communities that are there for people with cognitive impairment. So that is all we do. And when you have one product offering, you do it very well, which is something that we do.
Well, I know how hard you work at it. So.
Well, and so I'm gonna lead you in and say that must be something that sets you apart from your competitors.
We absolutely do. We are a smaller community. Our typical communities range from anywhere from 44 to about 58 residents. So it gives us an opportunity to provide almost that one-on-one care for our residents. Those residents become part of our family. I like to say that our communities are an extension of home. They're still home when they come to a community like ours. And so programming, activities, everything is driven around the needs of someone with cognitive impairment. Even the layout of our communities, we have a lot of light coming in, and we truly stand apart when it comes to the services and the care that we offer to our residents.
When did Autumn Leaves in St. Charles open?
That community opened about 4.5 years ago, April of 2013.
And how many, what's your census right now?
Well, Jim, I kind of don't want to say what our census is at this point.
I'm sorry.
But we do have the ability to take in new clients at this point. Yes.
And who is your ideal client?
Our ideal client is pretty much someone maybe newly diagnosed with dementia. It could be someone who has some impairment, maybe due to some recent hospitalization. They don't necessarily have to have a dementia diagnosis. We've actually admitted to our community some people with some confusion. Things come from maybe some medications not quite working out. We do have a fabulous program where we're able to admit directly from a hospital or from a nursing home. So it gives families an opportunity to work on their long-term plan. Maybe they are in a situation where they're not quite sure what their next steps are, but they need somewhere safe for their loved one to go to. So we do have what we call a respite program that we're able to bring someone into our community as long as they meet our resident requirements, and move them in and have a safe place for them to reside until a family gets a plan in place.
Okay, very good. So can you kind of describe what a respite is?
A respite is, it could be a month long or it could be a few days long. It's the ability for families to bring their loved one to us, move them in as they would a permanent resident, and we're there to take care of them for that duration. It gives families an opportunity to breathe. It gives them an opportunity to maybe travel, take a vacation. You know, caregiving is difficult, as you guys know, and sometimes we get burned out, and we need a safe environment for our loved ones, especially for those residents who may be living on their own. And now there is a status change, a health status change, and they cannot return home. We're an option for those families in a respite situation. Obviously, we're looking for permanent residents, but we want to meet the residents and their families where they are, and so we're able to provide any level of respite services, like, again, from 3 days to as much as 30 days, while they're deciding what their next steps will be.
I think that's an excellent option to have. We all know when we run into these circumstances that sometimes, these decisions are hard for families.
Absolutely.
And it gives them that little bit of additional time to get together, and I'm sure you offer, counseling as they come in and they respite at autumn leaves. You're able to provide additional information to them and things like that, right?
Sure. So, my title says Director of Sales and Marketing, but I truly think I'm a counselor, or I am just that person who's holding your hand through this process. Some people come to us and they're not appropriate for us. They need to be maybe in a skilled setting, or families are undecided as to what their next steps are, and in the meantime they've got to keep mom or dad at home, so then they're looking to services like Right at Home to provide the care that they need in our setting. But when we sit with families and we do our discovery, we're listening, we're delving, we're digging deeper to find out what are the things that matter to them. It's not about trying to close that sale that moment. It's about hearing what's important to them and then crafting a solution for those families around what Autumn Leaves can offer. If we come up on a client that we know we cannot support that client's needs because their needs might be in excess of what we can provide, and that could be from a licensing standpoint, then we're helping those families to find other options.
Okay.
We're never sending away someone empty-handed. We want to be able to be in a position where we're providing them with some solution. If it's moving in, yes. If it's staying at home, in-home care, and giving them some options there. But yes, being that support system for them, because caregivers need that.
And I've known you, as I mentioned, for many, many years, and you're always helping people.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
So, Autumn Leaves of St. Charles, can you kind of describe what areas or towns that you serve?
So from an Autumn Leaves standpoint, we serve the entire Chicagoland area. From the standpoint of St. Charles, we're serving the Fox Valley area and points beyond. We've had people come to us from Aurora. They come as far as DeKalb. They come from as far north as Crystal Lake, and any point in between. So we're able to kind of meet a lot of our residents' needs, and truly, because we have so many other communities in our market, sister communities that is, if my St. Charles location is not ideal, we could look to some of our other locations to provide services for that client. So I'm happy to say, in addition to our community, our sister communities, we're able to service a very wide area of the Chicagoland area, and certainly the Midwest, Southwest, and Southeast.
Can you give an example of those?
So we have communities. Say, for an example, I had recently a community. I had a client here in Chicago whose mom lived in another state, and she was trying to figure out, what to do. I mean, how was she going to get mom to us? In the meantime, she needed a safe place for mom to go. So what we did is we had her admitted to one of our Autumn Leaves in the state where she lives. And in the meantime, she had all her plans in place to actually move up to Chicago. She's actually been at that location and has not actually made her way to Chicago yet.
Wow.
But because we were able to work with our sister communities in other areas, we know that we're providing the right solution for that family.
And I can think of 100 scenarios where, especially with how the family is dispersed these days, is you're like a perfect solution for them because, if mom and dad lived here in St. Charles and they've been snowbirds,
Yes.
Say mom was diagnosed with a cognitive issue down in Florida. They can come right back here to St. Charles, or vice versa, like you just described. You have you want to get mom or dad closer, or a daughter or son want to get mom and dad closer. It's like a perfect solution.
Yeah, we have communities down in Florida. And one of the things that I'm very, very happy and proud of is that we can work with couples. We do have instances where there is only one of that unit that needs memory care, but we can admit them as a couple, and there's a tremendous cost savings to actually moving a couple into our building. They're getting the same level of care, both of them.
Wow.
But only one has to have an actual diagnosis of dementia, and it does help.
Oh, and that is so helpful just for them to still remain together.
Yes.
Right. I would think too, that familiarity,
Yes.
for the parts, even in their treatment.
Yeah, that's so wonderful.
So you're not separating anyone, really.
No.
Because our couples will age, and they age disparatively. They're not going to have the same needs as they go down, the road. And so the idea is to keep them together, be in a situation like ours, where they're both getting the care they need, even though it's quite different. But they're together, which is really the most important thing.
And it is, especially for someone with dementia and Alzheimer's, is to
Absolutely.
keep things as familiar as possible.
As normal as possible, right?
It takes the burden off the family caregiver, doesn't it?
It does. It absolutely does.
And so that would be considered like a special program that you offer, or
Yes,
are there
it's
others?
actually yes, it is. It would be a special. Certainly would be from a financial standpoint. The benefit of coming in as a couple is huge. Now there are some families who it's not ideal because dad is very high functioning, so to speak, and probably would not be comfortable in our setting. And that's okay. Those families, we kind of walk them through the process. Dad can continue his life. Actually, if dad was a golfer and all of a sudden now he's a caregiver and he can't go to the links as often as he would, now he can continue. He can kind of reclaim some of the things that were familiar to him or some of the pastimes that he could continue to do. He can come and go as a regular family member would, knowing and having in his heart that mom is well taken care of while he's off doing some of those
What
things.
a gift that is.
Dad is such a great gift. That is, because we were talking this morning over coffee. In fact, we were just talking about
Right.
this with you this morning, Leah, about how it's work, and if you have that work every day, you need a little bit of rest. So this would be, I'm sure the husband loves the wife, and the wife loves the husband. They want to be together, for either one of their sakes, but everybody needs a little bit of break, a little bit of their own time.
Caregiving is tough, and we like to know, as you do it right at home, you know how important it is to be in a position to give caregivers a break. Whether it's a day break, whether it's a 30-day respite that we offer, or moving someone permanently into the community. I always say, I have a younger mother. I don't have to worry about placing my mother anywhere. And for the most part, I'm thinking my mother would reside with me through end of life.
Sure.
As a professional, I know that might not be possible. There will be a day when I physically and emotionally not able to do that. And I must find a solution for her. And a place like Autumn Leaves would be the solution that I would need for a parent.
Sure. And we see that in our industrial age, in our thing, we have dad and mom working, and they're trying to take care of their mom and dad the best they can.
Sure.
So Autumn Leaves would be a great solution for that.
And so, of course, finances always come up.
Finances come up every day.
And so I'm wondering, long-term care insurance or veteran benefits?
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
So we're a private pay community. Our residents, our potential residents or their families are paying privately for their care. They're also utilizing the Veteran Aid and Attendance benefit. They can utilize long-term care insurance as well. I know that Autumn Leaves have programs for bridge loans and things like that, so that's something that you could, speak to a local sales and marketing director at any of our Autumn Leaves to find out what some of those financial programs are. But for the most part, people are paying privately with the help of long-term care insurance and veterans benefits. Those seem to pop up the most.
Right.
Okay, and then, as people age, they have real estate and things like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Can you describe, I'm interested, my mom has dementia and I want to come in and talk to you. Can you describe your admissions process?
What we do, first of all, is I invite a family member or anyone interested in learning more about Autumn Leaves to come in and sit and talk. And I like to make that process as informal as possible because it's not about the sale, it's about making sure that we're providing the right solution for those families. So we sit and we do our discovery, and then we kind of go through what the parents or whomever's needs are.
Mm-hmm.
Once we identify those needs and we identify what kind of timeline we're working on, then we start a very simple admission process. We go out and we do an assessment, a physical assessment, and that would be conducted by our nurse and our executive director. And then what we do is we request paperwork from their physician. Okay. So we see what they look like on paper.
Mm-hmm.
And that gives us an idea of who that person is and what their needs are. We can compile a care plan around what those needs are. And the person comes in, does a contract paperwork, chooses a room, and that's it. They could pretty much move in. We've had move-ins done in 24 hours.
Wow.
That's one of the things that I am tremendously proud of.
Mm-hmm.
We have some of the things that make us stand out is that we are offering the standard meals and things like that, but our pricing structure is all inclusive. And it's driven by the room choice. So one doesn't have to worry about mom status is declining and now all of a sudden your bill gets bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Our pricing is already the pricing is factored into to make sure that one is aware that the price is driven by the room choice, the size of the room. We factor in all those costs already. So it's almost like a peace of mind that you have knowing that your bill is going to be this because this is what we factor this in. We can afford this. And we know mom is going to be taken care of very well. Our rooms come furnished. That's another big thing that people don't necessarily want to be concerned about when you're worried about finding a safe place for your mom. Furniture is the last thing on your mind.
Right.
So we have the ability to walk in and move somebody in because everything's already there, laid out and ready to go.
And the other nice thing, we're working with someplace like Autumn Leaves is that it's geared toward the client.
Yes, it is.
For safety reasons and things like that.
Sure, our community is one level. As I like to say, it's purpose built for that person with dementia. A person is in a secure setting. Even our courtyards are secure, and a person can walk day and night around the building if that's what is required or what happens. Dementia takes all forms, and so a person might want to just walk at 2 o'clock at night because now they're thinking it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So we have the ability and we have the staffing. We have 24-hour staffing with nurses always in the building to allow for that type of thing to happen.
Wonderful. Can you describe some of the room choices?
We actually have 4 different room sizes, and it's really meant for, it could be a studio type. We have extra large rooms that can be good enough for a couple. We've had couples live in those extra large rooms. And then we have sharing options. People share for a couple of reasons. They share from a financial standpoint. I mean, it makes it easier. It's less expensive. But ironically, they share because sometimes people don't want to be in a room by themselves.
Yeah.
What a
Yeah.
great idea.
So there is a sharing option that's available as well.
And so, are there ever any circumstances that a client would need to relocate from your community, like as the disease progresses, or what
Sure.
scenarios?
One of the things that we counsel families on when they move into our community, or at least start to think about a move to our community, we kind of walk through all scenarios of what would happen if a situation presented itself where mom would have to leave the community or dad would have to leave. Obviously, they're leaving when they're passing away.
Mm-hmm.
But if there's a clinical need in and above what we can or our license says we can provide, something like a G-tube, those are things that are now clinical.
Which is a feeding tube.
Which is a feeding tube, yes.
Mm.
And those things would have to be taken care of in a nursing setting, and those people would then have to relocate.
Right, because you're not a nursing home.
We're
you're
not a
assisted
nursing home,
living.
right.
Right.
The truth is we've had people move because they, it's just that now they need such a higher level of care that we are not licensed to provide.
Right,
level of
that's
care.
medically complex.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Exactly.
Okay, and it makes perfect sense.
Sure.
So, okay. When I was over visiting you, I noticed all the activity going on.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk a little bit about some of the events that Autumn Leaves may offer your clients in activities and residents? And then also some of the educational events that you
Sure.
guys hold.
Okay. So for our residents, we don't separate our residents in any way. So we don't have a wing where we have very active residents as opposed to residents who are maybe on their tail end of their lives. We separate our residents in for two reasons. One, when it's meal times, and one when they're activity, because they're not, even though they're in a dementia community, their functioning level is all different levels.
Mm-hmm.
And truthfully, as we look around this room, we don't have the same likes and dislikes either. So what we try to do is we try to kind of group our residents according to likes. So creating affinity groups, but also looking at them in terms of how well they can maybe do a crossword puzzle, or how well they can do a cooking demo.
Mm-hmm.
And so we separate them, or the guys might not want to do bingo, they might want to talk about current events. We have a very large percentage of veterans in our building, so we push veteran centric programs.
Mm-hmm.
So we're able to separate our residents, and we have a very diverse list of activities that they can get involved in. A lot of them are driven with just daily things, that maybe doing dishes, folding laundry.
Sure.
These are things that are still a part of the core of who we are,
Mm-hmm.
or who our residents are, and we want to get them involved and keep them active. So a typical day in an Autumn Leaves community is that they're up and dressed at 8, and it's rare that they're going back to their rooms before 8 at night. They're out and about doing things.
And socialization is so
Wonderful.
Key.
important.
Yes, it is.
Wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so important. So how can someone arrange a tour of Autumn Leaves?
Oh, Jim, before we
yes.
move on to that, I would love to talk about some of the programs that we've had that we've been successful in working with families.
I would love to hear that.
We have been able to utilize either the virtual dementia tour or Dementia Live, where we're educating our families as to what it means to have dementia, what it means to be working on a day-to-day basis with some of these deficits.
Mm-hmm.
And families come to us and they're concerned or they're frustrated because they're not sure what it means to deal with somebody with dementia. They're like, mom's repeating things, or mom's trying to get out of the building. What can I do? And I'm losing my patience. So what we do is we implement programs like Dementia Live, and I know Right at Home does a tremendous job with that. And it's an exercise where families can literally go through the process of figuring out. We get them all decked out in gear, and we do things like headphones and stuff that makes them, it simulates what it means to have dementia.
Okay.
And that is one of my greatest selling tools.
And you know, if anybody hasn't been through a dementia live, it is something everybody really needs to go through. And in fact, you and I are working on an endeavor to create dementia-friendly communities.
No doubt.
Because who has the statistics of how many people are going to have dementia in our lifetime?
I don't know what the number is, but we know that when you reach the age of 82, you have a 50-50 chance of getting it.
There you go.
And I think the statement is 1 in 3 of us are going to have some form of dementia.
We
in our
brought that up
lifetime.
one other time, you're right,
Yeah.
because we were sitting there looking around the table,
Mhm.
realizing that somebody here.
Mhm.
Someone in this room will have dementia, maybe
Yeah.
2 of us.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the need is how do we communicate with these people? How do we not get frustrated? And to do that, we've all heard of walking in someone else's shoes.
And that's literally what it is. In fact, I had a client who came to one of our events. She was just there as a friend of someone who was attending, and 2 weeks later, she was in a situation where she needed our services because her mom needed her memory care.
Rick's nice.
Anne Marie, we'd like to ask you to give our audience your contact information, and if we can do it real quickly, how do you arrange a tour of Autumn Leaves?
You give me a call. We kind of go through what your needs are. We set up a time that's convenient for you, and I can do tours after hours or on the weekends. And we come in. I don't like to say it as a tour. I say come for a visit.
Right.
Make it a little less formal,
Okay.
and then we kind of work our way through it.
Excellent.
And anyone can call me at Autumn Leaves in St. Charles at 630-485-4510. But easier than that, go to autumnleaves.com and you can find any one of our Chicagoland locations. But make sure you check in with me in St. Charles.
Awesome. Anne Marie, thanks for being on the show today. Thank you especially for what you and Autumn Leaves does to help people.
Thank you for having me.